Hi, I'm so excited that everyone from DevOps Enterprise Summit Virtual is joining us today. I'm Courtney Nash. I am a researcher at a company called Verica. And today I'm here joined by Troy, who will introduce himself in a second, to talk about chaos engineering and reliability in the enterprise to unexpected friends. And I'll let Troy introduce himself.
Yeah, excited to be here. Troy, I'm currently at Capital One. I lead one of our S3 organizations here. And we are excited to share with you kind of the experiences that I've personally been through and some of the myths and whatnot that are part of chaos engineering, and hopefully get you comfortable with embarking on your own.
Cool. So this is when I do the share screen part. Everybody gets to enjoy the awkward presentation stuff. Okay, that's us. We just talked about ourselves, so we don't have to hang out on that screen for very long. So a couple of myths before we get started, because the very name is a bit much. Chaos engineering does not sound like something that most people want to get going with, much less in the enterprise. But really, if you think of it in terms of experimentation, then it becomes a much more approachable thing to be considering. And it's really a practice of experimentation that helps you get your arms around your systems. Most of us, I would assume, are here because in part we're building and maintaining and operating very complex systems with high business and production pressures. And no one person can get their arms around how that all works. Within an organization that has, is decomposing monoliths to microservices and has upstream providers and cloud providers and all kinds of things. It's just too much complexity to be able to hold it all in your head. And so this process of experimentation tells you ideally like sort of what the boundaries are like. Where's the cliff? Where are the cliffs? Multiple cliffs. Are you driving at them 90 miles per hour? Are you slowly wandering towards them? It's really hard to know a lot of the time. And so the goal of this is to just get you comfortable with experimenting within those systems in safe ways. So myth-wise, that name gives us a couple of things that we wanted to cover. Along the way, Troy and I discovered that we're both giant plant nerds and flowers and stuff like that. So you get plant metaphors and maybe some goats. So the first myth of chaos engineering is that it's some kind of mythical advanced capability. Netflix, Amazon, big organizations, you've got to be like that scale to be able to do this. And it turns out it's actually the other kind of way around, or that's how they got there. So chaos engineering, the discipline, was sort of born out of Netflix's transformation from the data center to the cloud. And I don't know if people remember this, but there was a period of time when Netflix's, availability reputation was not good. And things were falling down a lot, and people were pretty mad. They couldn't watch their movies and their other things. And so folks at Netflix started hunting around like, we've got to do something. How are we going to be able to do this? And that's actually that process of figuring out how to experiment safely on their systems and then expand the sort of the size and the scale and the sophistication of those experiments is why Netflix is Netflix now. And so it's often sort of viewed in the wrong cycle. And so they really started there and got to reliability that they have now by experimenting on their systems. And other companies have sort of started to do this as a part of digital transformation journeys, which is why we're here talking to you all today, including those even in highly regulated industries like healthcare and finance and banking. And sometimes when I say that to people, they don't believe me, which is why Troy is here, because he has, which is super cool. So he's going to talk a little bit about his experience with this first myth, and I'll let him take it away.
Yeah, well, you definitely don't have to be a master gardener. And the one industry too, as well, as you didn't mention, was telecom. I was at Verizon in telecommunications industry, and we were growing rapidly and still are growing as a company and modernizing our applications. The monolith, the microservice architectures, the cloud, data center to cloud journeys. And one of the things to deal with that, the complexity was grounding ourselves in a site reliability engineering program. And that was something I was fortunate enough to be a part of kicking off and getting started at Verizon. And we really used it as a practice for us to try to change the way we think and ensure we have the reliability that we were known for as Verizon, right? The most reliable network, right? It needed the most reliable culture and most reliable practices to embrace. And it's really that shift of moving from a reactive state where we're on and always on and everyone's happy to we're off and there's an incident and how many incidents and how fast we get up and then it goes back to, okay, we're on and working, but like really how well are we working? And that's that proactive shift in understanding our systems and getting ahead of that and measuring that proactive in a proactive nature, like how well are things going. So before and as we started embarking on that, if you kick to the next slide real quick, is we noticed that even that was a hard journey, like adopting SLOs and getting going. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit later. But chaos engineering became kind of a quick and easy, dare I say, easy way for us to embark on this real system dependency understanding and comprehension. You probably find out that you don't know all of the edge cases and how your system works and whatnot. So what better way to do that than to run verifications to see how things behave? When we were in the Kubernetes space and moving to containers and Kubernetes, the thing that we focused on was how can we build a reliable kind of like core like cluster configuration for teams that kind of meets our standards and needs, and are we actually doing that what we think we're doing, and verifying and running tests and verifications and hypothesis on that consistently. We find that in some cases your pull times for your images, you'd expect like a small image versus a large image would pull faster than one another, and then when you run verifications to test that, you find that it's not the case, and you see that pull times are sporadic and different, and then you find out that there's some network configurations that are happening and you're going from different VPCs and moving over. So it's such a good learning experience, and it's pretty rich in that nature. There's also a space to tap into for understanding if your security